Inflation is on the rise. In fact, according to the latest news, inflation is running at 8.26% in the year 2022 in the USA. That means your money isn't just worth less now, it's likely to lose value over time. But this doesn't mean that there is nothing you can do about it. With the right approach, managing your finances in the face of inflation can help you get ahead. It's important to remember that inflation affects people differently depending on their age and other factors. So, while some families might find themselves struggling to afford food, others won't notice any difference. With that said, there are a number of things you can do to ensure your family still has enough money to live comfortably, even if prices go up. Here are some tips for how to save more. How to prepare for inflation. Inflation is a very real problem, especially when you're living paycheck to paycheck. If you don't have any money saved up, then you'll be forced to pay more than usual. Fortunately, there are ways to deal with this situation. You should always try to save up at least 6 months of income. This way, you won't run into problems like these. Another thing that you can do is to cut down on your expenses. You shouldn't spend a lot of money each month, but instead, you should focus on saving up. If you want to learn how to get started, then you should watch the complete video till the end. It's important to keep your emergency fund in good shape. Make sure that you've got enough cash to cover all of your bills and to help you through a financial crisis. How to make money during inflation. Inflation is a financial phenomenon that occurs when prices increase over time. When this happens, it becomes more difficult to save money. Because of this, you might want to learn how to deal with inflation. When you're dealing with inflation, you need to be careful. You should try to keep your spending habits in check. If you don't, then you'll end up losing money. You also have to watch out for price increases. This means that you need to avoid buying items at the last minute. The best way to do this is to wait until the item is on sale. If you can't afford to buy an expensive item, then you may want to consider selling it. You could sell the item online, or you could take it to a garage sale. How to invest in a time of inflation. Inflation is the rise in prices. This means that your money isn't worth what it was a few years ago. If you want to make sure that you're investing in the right things, you need to be aware of how much inflation affects the market. If you have investments in the stock market, you might be concerned about the impact that inflation will have on them. However, you shouldn't worry. You can still get a good return from stocks. The key to making this happen is to diversify. Diversification is the process of spreading your investment dollars across different sectors and companies. When you do this, you'll reduce the risk that any one company or sector goes bankrupt. As a result, you won't lose all of your money when a company or industry suffers a financial setback. How to save money during the time of inflation. Inflation is a serious problem that affects everyone. If you don't know how to handle the situation, you might end up losing a lot of money. The best way to deal with this issue is to learn how to control your spending. When you're trying to figure out how much money you should have saved, you need to make sure that you keep track of all of the expenses you incur. You'll also want to be aware of any changes in the prices of different items. For example, if you go shopping for food, you'll want to pay attention to the price of each food you purchases. You can use the information from your receipts to help you determine whether or not you've been saving enough. You should look at each item that you purchase and try to find out how much it costs. The best ways to protect your investments. When you invest your money, you need to make sure that you don't lose any of it. That's why you should be careful when it comes to investing. If you want to learn more about how to protect your investments, keep watching the video. You might have heard of the term inflation. This is the idea of rising prices across the board. When this happens, you'll need to adjust your spending habits. You can do this by making sure that you buy less expensive items, and you can also save up for bigger purchases. If you're worried about losing your savings because of inflation, then you should consider buying gold. Gold is an excellent way to protect your investments, especially because it tends to increase in value over time. This means that you will always be able to sell your gold at a higher price than you originally paid for it. Create a passive income stream. Inflation is one of the most important problems facing the world today. The problem is that the value of money keeps decreasing over time. This means that you have to work harder to get more for your money. If you want to deal with inflation, then you should start by finding ways of earning extra cash. You can do this through side hustles, but you also need to consider investing in the stock market. Investing in the stock market isn't easy, and it's even tougher to make a profit from it. But if you're willing to put in the effort, you can eventually earn a lot of money. You'll be able to use the profits that you earn to help combat inflation, and you won't have to worry about the value of your savings going down over time. We have discussed how to deal with inflation. If you find this video interested, do subscribe to the channel.